This is Vietnam, and behind the gate is China. So right now my hand's in 5:30 p.m. roughly, Vietnam. Now it's in 6:30 p.m. China. This hand's in Vietnam, this hand's in China. 5:30 p.m., 6:30 p.m. Okay, so this is us in Hanoi, the first night. We originally booked a hotel from like the 14th to the 15th for the first night, but when we arrived, it was 4 in the morning on the 14th, and we wanted to get into the hotel, and they said, no, you can't stay the night yet because the places don't open until 2 p.m. So even though it's for the 14th today, your booking is from the 14th, 2 p.m. onwards. So because we were there so early, we had to suddenly find a new place to stay in the middle of the night at, like, as I said, like 4 a.m. Lots of places were booked out because it's in the middle of the city and it was so late. But then we finally managed to get somebody to help us in like a 7-Eleven-y thing. This is pho. It's the main Vietnamese dish. And we met up with my friend Joe and his little brother Josh, who I'd not met before. And we ate some together. We wanted to meet up him later, but we didn't manage to meet again. Here's the original hotel that we were going to stay at. And it looks out over the famous train that runs through a famous street, and it has restaurants and also little houses above it, and you'll see the little Vietnamese kids running around and things, and there's a lot of tourists here because it's so famous, and they'll pose and stuff on the railway tracks, and then every 1.5 hours or so it comes along.
Yeah, I see him. Inside.
Yeah, this is the crazy Vietnamese traffic, which was right near the train after it had left. We went to the night markets in Hanoi where you can do dancing. You can just join in on anything for free. And they had foot shuttlecocks. And they also had skipping, 2 ropes and 1 rope. The 2 ropes one is really hard. Me and Luna tried it and we both failed. I think I tried it maybe 5 times. And this is what it looks like when I do it. Yeah, there was this Jenga thing as well, and it, look how high it is. The guy has to sit on his shoulders, and he managed to get maybe another 2 feet up, and then it fell down. Yeah, I took this video because that Vietnamese woman is really beautiful, and also Luna loves the pineapple in Vietnam. So then we went on this cool bus where you can sleep, and this goes from Hanoi to Ha Giang, which is the place that I wanted to go to ride around, and it's the poorest place in Vietnam, and here's where we rented it from, and this guy helped us avoid the cops, so we're riding now. It's just me on the front, Luna on the back. And so with Vietnam, you don't have to have an international driver's license. It's easy to get around the cops. You just they helped us go around the first lot because they knew where they were, that hostel kind of bike renting company. They said, we'll take you past the cops in a car or on the back of our bikes, and then once we've got past them there won't be any more, so you just keep riding. There are 2 types of cops. If you perchance run into the brown types, they're just the standard ones. You can just keep driving, don't worry about them, they're not going to chase you. Other ones, the green ones, they're border patrol. Watch out for them. They'll stop you and you have to stop, but they'll help you out. But I can help you out by contacting my brother. Yeah, on that road you just saw the bumpy one. We had a little crash and that's all they got. Here's supper. It's yes, this is west of Ha Giang. This was another 8-hour bus ride away, and altitude's 1,500 meters. The highest the mountain gets is 4,000 meters. So we drove over it. The weather here is crazy. It constantly rains on and off, and so it'll be really heavy and then nothing. These are 2 little young kids just riding a bike. Amazing scenery there. Yeah, and on the way back, we rode back at maybe 6 p.m. at night, and we rode through a cloud, and it was really cold and difficult to see, but it's something I really wanted to do in Vietnam. This is Cat Cat, which is right near Sapa, and it has it's a really old village, but it's very touristy now, unfortunately, and it has quite nice waterfalls, but nothing mind-blowing. This is the river that it borders China and Vietnam, so this is just up from Sapa. So the story here is me and Luna wanted to go to this place just specifically to cross the border, go into China and then just come back quickly, that's it. And we both had visas, just paper visas that allow us into Vietnam, and I had a rip on on my visa because it was very rainy in Sapa and I got a rip in it, and I went to one of the immigration people and I said, is it a problem that this is ripped? And he said, no, but if you go over to China, you're not going to be able to come back because this is just a one entry thing into Vietnam. So and I said, oh, okay, well, my girlfriend's just on the other side, so can she come back? And he said, no, her visa's already been stamped, so she can't come back. But and I was terrified, but thankfully it hadn't actually been stamped, and she managed to come back. This is Ha Long Bay, a very famous tourist spot, and it's on the money, at least on the 200,000 dong note in Vietnam. Here's a cave right there. Not very worth it. I don't think the cave section on Ha Long Bay, don't bother. Yeah, this is that little 200,000 dong note thing just behind this boat. You'll see it soon. I took that thing. But I took this footage because I want you to see all the boats that go there and how touristy it is, and it kind of takes away from any magic of it. I ate this oyster and some other seafood because I thought I'm in Ha Long Bay. I might as well try the fresh food. And then the next day I was very sick and I regret doing it. But yeah, this is the paper visa that got ripped. So the story here is, you can just look at some nice scenery while I tell you the story. The story here is because I was told at the border place that the visa was fine, it's not an issue that it was ripped. I was confident that I could easily go back to China when the time came. But when I was trying to get the ticket to go back to China, he said, no, this visa isn't acceptable. And then he said, look, just go over to the immigration person. And so I went up, the ticket guy took me to the immigration person. The immigration person said, no, we can't do anything about this. You're going to have to stay the night in Hanoi, and tomorrow you can go to the visa place and get a new visa, and you can buy a new plane ticket back to China. And that's obviously devastating. I was really devastated. And anyway, I went back to Luna, and she said, oh no, we got to try more. And so she went back. I went back with her back to the immigration guy. This time we didn't have the guy that was giving us the ticket with us though. And this time, Luna said, oh, please help us, please. Oh, we need a job, please, we need a job. And she meant, we need to work. That's what she meant. And anyway, he said no a few times, but then he said, oh, if you pay 1 million dong, which is like 300 renminbi or $60 Australian dollars about, you can get a visa. And this is just a bribe. There was no reason we couldn't just get one in the first place. And I was thinking, I know that Vietnam's a very bribey country. I could have just done it myself, like, isn't there something I can pay or whatever? But because the airport's a government-y type place, I was a bit scared of doing that and going to jail. But I'm glad that he did the bribe for me. So so 2 narrow disasters, narrowly missed in Vietnam. But all in all, amazing trip. I recommend you go.